What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Truck Parking Clubhouse. I'm your host, Michael Lombard, aka Lombard Trucking, everywhere on the internet. I hope you guys had a safe and warm weekend. By the way, we know Winter Storm Fern has caused a lot of distress out there over the road, and still is. There's still parts of the I-40 corridor that are definitely still somewhat of a hockey rink out there. So wherever you're at, wherever you're tuning in, whether you're at home or you're on the road, hope you're staying safe. If you haven't, by the way, check your inbox. Issue 54 of Taillights just dropped in there, and we've got a little bit of relief for drivers that came out of the FMCSA because of the winter storm with some hours of service. And so we covered that in the Taillights, as well as some other interesting news you might want to listen to, especially if you didn't hear it from me. I'm not telling you to do this at all, but some interesting new insights from the DOJ regarding how they're going to be enforcing people who've deleted DPF. But again, I'm not recommending anything. You can't say all I'm doing is just passing some information. So check that out in the recent edition of Taillights, which is in your inbox right now. Should have dropped in there about 40-ish minutes ago. But without any further delay, bring it on to this week's Clubhouse. A very good friend of mine. He calls himself the not just redneck, but the certified redneck. What's going on, brother?
Not much, sir. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Where are you tuning in from? I know it's a little dark where you're at. Where are you at?
I am sitting in Neosho, Missouri.
Neosho, Missouri, right off of 44, 49 and 49 and 44, just north of 44.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. That's a good spot. And you're hanging tight from the weather. Actually, I would love a quick weather update from you. We were talking a little bit before you jumped on here. You were saying you had mentioned you weren't going to be driving at night. It's still a little bit dangerous out there. What have you been hearing from drivers as far as the roads wherever you're headed?
Well, I mean, coming out of the house this morning, I left a little earlier than I needed to. Roads were pretty well covered still coming up 2-lane road. Once I hit the interstate here in Arkansas, up to the Missouri line was pretty well clear. From what I understand, though, coming back down, perfectly fine here. But once I get down to like West Memphis, they're saying 55 from West Memphis on is an ice rink, and the same with 22. It looks like a war scene down on I-22. Is what I'm being told.
All right, so duly noted for any drivers, and for anybody who's tuning in. By the way, if you're out there driving, you're over the road, let us know any road conditions you're seeing out there actively or stuff that you've heard about. You can drop them in the comments. We can pop it up on the screen right here too, in case you got any information. But let's go right into the Clubhouse, man, and break it down. I'd love to. Number one, you're not just redneck. You're the certified redneck. So I'd love to hear. I mean, just a little bit of your story. How'd you get into trucking?
Well, I'm a fourth generation. I grew up on a cattle ranch, and I've always had the reputation of being a redneck. We would do anything, we'd fix anything with bale twine just to get us by. Then one day, working out in the sun, hay season, I walked up to my grandfather, and my neck was, just beat red. He goes, "Hey, I'm going to start calling you certified redneck." And he then goes, "Wait a minute, that can be your CB handle." Because I grew up driving a rig around the farm. Secretly, I loved it, but I wasn't going to tell my grandfather that because he would have made me do it all the time. And I was not getting beat around in a truck with no air suspension. But like I said, fourth generation. I've went military, mechanic, sling wrenches. Once I got out of there, I tried doing it civilian wise. Just didn't, I lost my passion for it. I still love working on them. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't see it as a full time career. So I made the jump into driving. After riding with my grandfather for years, I got a feel for the open road and I just loved it. But I was chasing that fever ever since. Trying to find stuff to feel it just didn't work. So now I'm going on my 5th year solo out here and I'm loving every minute of it.
Man, that's awesome. I gotta say, fourth generation. So yeah, it's in your blood. What years were you in the service? What branch were you in?
I was Army. I joined right out of high school, 2018. I got out in 19 due to medical. Um, I had some film around my lungs that we had no idea where it come from, and it wasn't clearing up. If I could serve more time, I would. I don't I don't like when I get said told, "Well, you're a veteran." I didn't really serve. I don't feel like I served. There's guys out there that deserve that honor more than me. Um, but I loved every minute of what I was in. It
Hey, man,
just
that's it's a freaking powerful testimony right there. I mean, I still, even as a veteran myself, still appreciate you. I mean, you definitely still signed a dotted line, and there's sometimes things out of our control that can happen. I mean, I saw it happen to guys I served with as well. I mean, there was a gentleman who I know when I got to the fleet shortly after MOS school. I mean, he ended up, gentleman was diagnosed with MS, and I mean, he didn't have a choice in that. He didn't have it, it's a multiple sclerosis. He didn't have a
mm-hmm.
choice in that, and he would have continued his career. And I've seen a lot of gentlemen face with that, and it's just that's kind of the cards they're dealt. And but you picked up and moved on from it. I mean, and you still went to MOS school, became a mechanic. Now I'm curious only because that's a major topic out there, especially in the LinkedIn world, is that there's a shortage of diesel techs and mechanics. But you're kind of saying you didn't look at it as a viable option. But I mean, I'd say it's a great skill to have, especially if you're behind the wheel of trucks. Being mechanically inclined is going to help you more than more than it'll ever hurt you. But how come, what made you be like, you know what, working on these things ain't it? I'd rather be driving them.
Well, and that comes down to doing things the right way. I mean, there's so many mechanics out here that claim to be certified, claim to know what they're doing, and then you take your equipment to them. 2, 3 weeks later, you're finally getting your rig back, but the work you hired to be done is either jerry rigged or not done at all. And they're still charging you storage fees for sitting on the lot, shop time, shop materials that you have no idea where it come from because nothing was done. Um, and me trying to sit there and do it the right way, the honest way, it was getting expensive. Customers were getting irate because it takes time, especially warranty work. We all know how warranty works. They're slow to get anything done. Um, I just I couldn't justify the means of trying to support my family and do it that way. And I didn't want to become one of those shade tree mechanics. I didn't want to give drivers false hope.
Yeah, I was going to say, describe that term. You said it was you said it like a shade tree mechanic.
Yeah, basically doing half a job and charging somebody for a full job or claiming to know what they're doing because they watched a YouTube video.
Gotcha. You'd say that's
And
pretty common.
in a lot of your more mom and pop shops, um, I've seen a few at Love's, not very many, because Love's vets their mechanics and their credentials. Um, but you do have those that slip through the cracks. But I haven't. I've seen it more in the smaller mom and pop shops, and that's nothing against mom and pop shops because I love them to death. Sometimes they do the best work out there, and the fastest. But a lot of the time, some of these shops are just trying to get mechanics in because their workflow is over than the capability, that they have. And like I said, I don't speak for all shops, believe me, but I've seen it more in those mom pops.
Got it. No, that makes sense. That checks out. Anybody else, by the way, if you're tuning into this live, let us know if you got any similar stories in the mechanic world. So then what? Yeah, what did it look like for you getting your CDL and going over the road? Did you get yourself through? Did you get yourself through school? Where'd you get your start?
Uh, I first, once I got done slinging the wrenches, I went and talked to my grandfather. Thought, seeing what he thought about it. Because, he was a career driver. And I honestly valued his opinion on it. And with the way the economy was and all that, it's like, do you think it's worth it? Would I be wasting my time? He, honestly, he told me straight up this was the best advice he could give me. He goes, it worked for me, but there's no guarantees it'll work for you. All you can do is jump in a seat and see if it works. He goes, for carrying on our family tradition, I hope so. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. None of us are going to hold it against you. Luckily for me, I'm going on 5 years now. Uh, I did go to school. I was started at a little town or a little company called PAM Transport. They're not so little anymore. um, Back in 21, they sent me to school, and it was supposed to be for 2 weeks. I took an extra week to make sure I was good. Of course, that was right at the start of COVID. So I got into trucking right at a terrible time. Um, but I drove for them for 6 months, was disrespected by their shop. Because I knew what I was talking about in the aspects of things, and they didn't like that so much. So I was disrespected, and I said, look, I appreciate you guys giving me my start. You got me my CDL, but I'm going to move on. Once I feel disrespected here by the shop that's supposed to keep our equipment running, I don't feel welcomed anymore. Um, I'm forever grateful for them giving me my start, taking a chance. But I bounced around from company to company trying to find the right fit. Thought I'd found a company last year. Drove for them for a year and 3 months, and then they got bought out. And the new company that come in was a mega carrier. Started changing policy, started changing stuff that the new owner straight up lied to our faces about. I tried to stick it out because I loved the company. It just got too much in the end. I wasn't making money. I was sitting more than I was running. And that company actually, I'd been an all right driver up to that point. The new owners come in and he took the time to actually sit down and understand and talk to me. I become a better and more sought after driver because of some of his advice. I still talk to him daily. Just the company policies were not for me. And he understood. I mean, I'm back to making decent money with a company that I don't even hear from unless there's an issue with the load. And that's the way I like it. You
Yes,
hired me
No, go ahead.
you hired me to do a job, trust me to do my job.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I wanted to ask you, what were some of those policies at that previous company or something you had an issue with? Because these are important conversations.
Well, they come in, and I know a big one is speed limiters. A lot of people have issues with that. This company come in, we were a 68-foot, 70-mile-an-hour cruise. This company come in, put a 65 across the board. Uh, Started putting inward-facing cameras in. Now, some people may say that's not a big deal, but when you go from a company that you've been driving for a year without them, and then all of a sudden it's mandatory to get them put in, um, changed up our equipment completely. Went from running Pete's and Kenworths to Freightliners. Um, and then completely took away the open door policy. Uh, if you were sitting up there chit chatting with your dispatcher because there was nothing going on, they would come in and tell you need to leave. Our dispatchers have stuff to do. And then your dispatcher is sitting there like, all my trucks are dispatched, everything's running smoothly. They took away the family atmosphere. Safety was nitpicking your logs, your camera, any little lane departure, they were nitpicking. I got called 3 times in one day because I was in West Texas on a road that they had tried to restripe, but all the craters and the potholes and all the where they filled in the cracks was setting my stuff off. And I tried explaining that to them, and it was, well, you need to keep it in the lane. I am. Just, you have my camera. You can pull up the feed. I'm in the lane. It's just all the little cracks and stuff that is triggering this system. Because it was a finicky system, I'll give it that.
That right there is a perfect point in conversation when it comes to this technology that a lot of people who haven't driven don't understand yet. Where because the only reason, so a lot of these the lane deviation inward facing cameras, even that I think dash cams are a good idea. Obviously, they can help you out in case of any sort of accidents, especially if if you're not at fault. I think having a forward facing camera is obviously very beneficial to the driver, but the fact that you're getting 3 phone calls while you're on the job, which is granted, whether you have a headset or not, receiving phone calls is still kind of somewhat of it can be a distraction, especially when you're in the zone driving, quite literally just doing your job. And again, and I'm familiar with the roads you're talking about in West Texas about how there could be wrong lines. And the whole point of these cameras is to reduce their insurance costs. I mean, it's a fixed game with insurance companies, essentially of why they're having it. They're getting deals on it. Those forward-facing cameras are getting drivers' data from their eye movements or what have you. And these are conversations we've had in the clubhouse. But again, it's impeding you to do your job when you're simply just doing your job for those issues. But yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, when the people leave companies for the same reason, company culture changes. There's a change in the environment. It was a way there, that family aspect is really important. And when that gets removed, when the energy's sucked out of that room, it's going to push anybody away. But you're with it seems like you find yourself with a good outfit here now, the company you're with.
Um, so far so good. I've only been with these guys since November. Um, and I'm loving every minute of what I'm running over here. I'm not longing for home until I go right before I go home. And then I'm usually home within the next day or two of that feeling. So, I mean, so far so good. I don't hear from my dispatch very often unless there's an issue with the load. He calls me when he sends me a pre-plan. Like, hey, this is your pre-plan. What do you think? Is it doable? Will it work for you? And I love that. Clarifying with a driver on what works for them.
Yeah, that's good. So they get you home when you need to. What are you pulling? You pulling dry van, flatbed, reefer?
I pull dry and reefer. We have both, but I am a reefer division.
Sweet.
Um,
primarily
So
reefer, and you're going everywhere.
yeah, all 48. I haven't really. The farthest I've seen northeast is New Jersey right now. Um, and that was just right over the PA line, right into Jersey, and then I was back into PA. And these guys here, you have issues with New York, you have issues with somewhere like that, they'll have you take it to the closest yard to where you feel comfortable, and they will get someone else that has no issues with those areas. They're very understanding on that. Granted, I don't. It's more of a corporate atmosphere over here, but at the same time, you voice your concerns, and sometimes it goes somewhere, sometimes it don't. That's the bad part about mega carriers. Um, but the shop over here takes concerns serious, and they don't just tell you you're a truck driver. It's all in your head. These are our policies. Too bad. They will actually take the time to explain the policy to you and why they can't do the work that you want them to do. And bringing a driver into that side of things that they may not necessarily have the mechanical background like I do, it helps a driver better understand their equipment
Good.
from a driver's standpoint.
That's good, man. Good, clear lines of communication. I mean, I think the number one thing a company can doing is making sure the driver itself has confidence in their equipment and the confidence in the people who are working on it. So, I mean, that sounds pretty good. I mean, you're comfortable with them. You're happy with them now. Kind of shifting gears for a minute. You've been out here a little over over 5 years now. Top three issue in the industry. It's part of why we exist in general is parking. I'd love to hear what is the lack of truck parking look like on your end? What are some issues you've run into? Have you run into because I know I used to drive for Pam Transport as well. Did a little stint with them as well, and I know. I mean, my first load I took with them went from Irving out to Montebello, and I was still wet behind the ears. And I remember the panic attack I had driving till after dark, and I was in Sierra Blanco, Texas, near El Paso, and like two or three truck stops were full, and I just so happened to find like a Mexican restaurant that had a big banner that said that they had truck parking, and they just had a big dirt lot behind there, and it was like I just got off scot free, even though I was told by my trainer, he was like, "Hey, man, you probably need to park 2 hours early." He's like, if you're driving after 5 o'clock, places are going to be full. But I like thought I had it just being so brand new, I thought I had all the time in the world until, all of a sudden I got an hour left and I'm like, oh no. And it's dark out. So I'd love to hear, or well, I wouldn't love to hear it, but any situations you've come into where parking's kind of been an issue.
Well, I do have to agree with you on that. My first load out with Pam was a load down to El Paso, which that was all right because I had a trainer with me. We had already stopped for the night when he picked me up. Then my second load out was up to Buffalo, New York. And if you ran any of that run right there, parking is very limited because you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're freaking out, like you said. You're running your clock out. You're trying to prove yourself. Next thing you know, you're out of parking. Now with these guys, I do a lot in Cali, and in the reefer scene, you're at the mercy of cold storages and receivers. I mean, they could take anywhere from 30 minutes to 8 to 10 hours, whatever they feel like they want to. And granted, it's not all. There's a few good cold storages out there that understand and respect our time. But you could be sitting there, and by the time you get done, you don't allow overnight parking. And if you're in Cali, it's already difficult for parking as is, even at noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Here you are getting out of a cold storage at 10, 11 o'clock at night. There's nowhere to park. I mean, then you're stressing because you're trying to not run out of time if you ain't already out of time. So you're having a PC forced move, and some companies limit that. And then, of course, DOT gets involved if it's towards a load, or if you're loaded, you can't really go too far because then it's considered advancing the load or towards a load. Um, a lot of your bigger cities, that's big parking issue.
Yeah,
Um,
especially getting. I mean, those are two tough areas. Buffalo, New York, and Southern California are tough ones. So there have been instances where you've had to put yourself on PC to get parked safely.
yes, sir, multiple times. I don't like doing it, but it keeps me compliant with my company and in DOTIs within reason. But that's kind of a crutch. Yes, it's legal, but it's not necessarily the best thing to do.
Abs-
Um, Go ahead.
Yeah, you don't want to put your logs at risk, especially if you get a DOT inspection and how they, because it's very gray area with PC and how they can kind of pull that apart. So specifically, this is actually a great, a great sound bit. I'd love to pull. You're a reefer guy. You're at a lot of cold storage places. Do you think that a lot of your receivers have extra space or enough room for drivers to park overnight?
Some of them, yes. Not all. There is a lot of like meat packaging plants that have barely enough room to even get two trucks in there into the docks. Um, and then there's room on the street. And I know a lot of drivers, me included, I don't like parking on the street. You take an unknown risk of a four wheeler not paying attention or uh that gives law enforcement something to harass you about. But then you got these big like Americolds and Lineage, just like the one I picked up from today. They they don't allow overnight parking, but they're huge. Um, but yeah, I feel like a lot of these places have extra space.
So even the place you picked up at today, you said they were huge. They've got extra parking. I mean, have you ever, I'm just curious. This is me just asking out loud. I mean, have you ever asked them, hey, do you guys allow parking overnight? Is there a reason? Do they have company trucks there? Have they ever given you a reason why you couldn't? Like, if you were to tell the shipper, if you were to tell the receiver, like, hey, man, I have no hours, this is going to put me over. Have they told you a reason why you couldn't park there?
Some of them have, yes. A lot of it has to do with corporate, not that exact location. A lot of them say, well, our corporate office has told us no more parking. Um, and then others have said, well, drivers have trashed the area. Which is completely understandable. You want to respect your property. I get it. And then I've had those customers where I've told them, hey, look, I'm out of hours. Is there a way I can park out in the back? Out of the way. Uh, if there's trash, because I try to pride myself on not leaving trash out around anywhere. If there happens to be trash and it come from my truck, call my company. I will answer 100% for it. Well, that's not our problem. You're out of hours. You should have trip planned better. Not our fault. And then it's one of those you want to get into a yelling match with them because they took 8 to 10 hours to get you unloaded. And most of the time, yeah, at 10 hours you have a break in. But if anyone else is like me, I can't sleep when they're running them forklifts in at Mock Jesus into the back of our trailer. Um, so there's times I'm up 12, 13 hours a day, and all I want to do is sleep. But then they're being rude about it and blaming the driver. Um, and some of these places, yeah, they could do better with parking.
Oh, good. That's well said. I think it's really important, especially on the reefer side of things. I think that's who definitely gets some of the worst guff with shippers and receivers. I feel like doing flatbed, like when I was doing open deck, those are the best experiences you're going to have. I delivered to so many John Deere dealerships, and they're just like, like it doesn't matter when and where you get there. I mean, there's not a lot of trucks normally in line. They've got a little dock you bumping back, and then I'm the one who's basically unloading it. A lot of times I was got to drive the equipment off the trailer, whether it was a tractor, but like I'm the one who has to unchain it. I'm the one who's got to, de-strap it. So it's like it's kind of on me when you're in and out there. So I feel like ranking the experience at shippers and receivers goes like if you're flatbed open deck, it's like got to be number one, dry van number two, and then reefer being down there number three. And obviously, it's probably different for people who are doing oil and gas, food grain tanker, but just the big three working your way down. And I think that reefer probably gets some of the most disrespected. And it's funny because reefer is probably some of the most important because it's normally food and produce and stuff that people need in a certain at a certain quality level, quality controlled level. And no, and I'm glad you didn't leave out the fact of just because you're at a place for 8 hours at the door doesn't mean you're getting it doesn't mean that it's just an 8-hour break depending on when you're there because you're not getting quality sleep or you're not sleeping at all because of the noise, the shaking, the bumping. So it's like for it to be viewed as, oh, well, this guy wasn't driving for 8 hours, that automatically must mean he's a thumbs up to be, optimized to perform his job. It's a good thing. So I'm glad you didn't skimp from leaving that on the record. Kind of bringing it to so those are issues with parking. I love. Got two questions left for you before we'll wrap up the clubhouse. One thing is besides parking because we just talked about some of the issues there. What's another issue? What do you think is the number one issue facing the industry besides parking? Something else that you would like to see fixed?
The inexperience of trainers. These mega carriers are letting these trainers with 6 months, these drivers with 6 months of experience become trainers. I'm 5 years in and I'm still wet behind the ears. Don't get me wrong, I trained. But I also come in with the mindset of a fourth generation. I treated every student as if they knew nothing. I trained every student the same for the first week. And then I trained based on what I was seeing from each individual person. It's just like some of these CR England, from what I understand, is they're putting 3, 4 students in a truck with one trainer. And I'm sorry, that's not training. That's maximizing, get more butts and seats, get them running. That's more money you guys are making, and it's not benefiting the drivers. These trainers are teaching these guys, well, you have to be more dominant, support, yell at these drivers because that was your spot and you couldn't set up, so you had to come around to try to set up. It's a dog eat dog world out here, and sadly, I hate to say it, that's just the way it's gotten. A lot of these new drivers are coming in cocky, acting like they're going to make it rich. And with today's economy, that's just not going to happen. There's money to be made in this industry, but you're not going to make it rich right out the gate. And a lot of these trainers are showing their students their pay stubs where they're making $2,000-3,000 because that student's on their truck. They're not showing them the fact of what they make solo without a student. And these students are getting in their head, well, if I do this, or if I'm mean to this driver or that driver, I'm going to get my way. And I don't agree with that. We're all supposed to be brothers and sisters of the highway out here. It's always been that way, but that seems to be a lost phrase now. Everyone's more concerned about themselves and their money. Don't get me wrong, I'm partial to my money too. I'm a little greedy when it comes to my money, but I'm also out here to help. If I can help a driver, whether it be they've got a smoking brake or they've got something like that, pull over, jump out, see where you can help. Because that driver's having the worst day of his life or her life. And just that smile on your face or the generosity to help can go a long way to making a driver feel wanted in this industry.
Absolutely, man. Well said. I mean, I can Tell you right there. So training and development be number one, and yeah, number two. I think right there, what you said, be finding your place to help somebody out is, I think, the best step forward in a lot of different ways. Which is exactly why we have the partner program here at Truck Parking Club, because we want to help. We want to help drivers. We want to help drivers succeed. We want to enable drivers to be in a position to also help drivers with an issue, especially if they need something like parking. Last question I got for you, only because I just think back to the how you mentioned you asking your grandfather like about getting into trucking, his advice. What would be your advice to somebody? Say somebody was to come to you and they're saying, "Hey, certified redneck, I'm thinking about getting my CDL. What's your advice? What would be kind of the one piece of advice you'd tell somebody who's looking to get into the industry?"
Well, first off, I'd ask them, what are they actually looking for? Are they chasing money or are they chasing a career? Because honestly, if they tell me they're chasing money, I'm going to tell them 100% straight up, don't chase the money. If that's all you're after, don't even get into the industry. Because you're just going to be another turnover rate for some company. If you genuinely want a career in this industry, take the time, do your research, find what works for you, ask questions, talk to these drivers, get their experiences, get their pros, their cons, their advice. Some have bad advice, some have good advice. Every company is good and bad in their own way. If it works for you, awesome. But you've got to find what works for you. Because it may not work for me, but it may work for this driver over here or that driver. If it works for you, go for it.
Let's go. Awesome stuff, man. Well said. Well, hey, let the before we wrap up here, you're active on social media. Tell the people out there where they could find you and follow along with the Certified Redneck Story.
Well, I'm on TikTok. I go by Certified Redneck on TikTok. Um, I go live with a bunch of other drivers. Um, and we discuss topics of the industry. Brokers, I mean, we cover all the bases. You come in saying you need help, we're gonna help you.
Oh, that's awesome. You got any certain times you specifically go live on TikTok for these conversations, or is it kind of whenever you can? I didn't know if you had a.
Most days I'm live all day.
Oh, sweet. So you're just on the headset riffing.
Yep, most of the time. Um, and my DMs are open for any driver that wants, or any potential driver that's curious about any company that I've ever worked for. I don't hide the companies I worked for. I don't hide my past before getting into trucking and how it saved me. I'm open. I will answer anything and everything honestly the best I can. And if I don't know, I will put you in contact with someone who might be able to.
Let's go. That's awesome, man. That's exactly why we partnered up with gentlemen such as yourself. Uh, Appreciate you coming on the Clubhouse. Definitely, it was the first time, will not be the last time. To everybody else who was tuning in live tonight, appreciate you guys as always. And if you couldn't tell by the last 38 minutes, Certified Redneck here, he is a gentleman who he's a fourth generation trucker who wants to help leave this industry better than he found it, which is exactly what we're doing at Truck Parking Club. We are working to help make this industry better than we found it. We help truckers save time and fuel by instantly reserving truck parking all across the country. And if you need truck parking tonight, again, we're here to give you that helping hand. We've got the promo code Redneck20 at the bottom of the screen. You can find Certified Redneck on TikTok, where he's got you live. He's got any bit of advice for you that you need. But other than that, guys, stay safe, especially throughout this winter weather. We'll catch you next week around 7:30 p.m. Central Time. With that, keep the hammer down.